Now, I would record right at the outset why merits review of administrative decisions is so important. It's so important for Australians who rely every year, day after day, on an independent review of government decisions. For many Australians, these are major life events, major life-altering impacts as a result of the decisions of an administrative review tribunal. Whether they'll receive an age pension, whether Services Australia has fairly and correctly made a decision about their disability support pension, veterans being compensated for a service industry which was incurred in doing their duty to their country, businesses being stuffed around by government departments, having a right of redress that's fair and independent and impartial, visa and citizenship decisions, decisions regarding the NDIS and all manner of government agencies. Australians expect, rightly so, professional decisions, an impartial tribunal when they turn up. But unfortunately, the truth is, Deputy Speaker, the government inherited a horrible mess, backlog of tens of thousands of cases languishing, of Australians waiting for their review to happen, month after month, year after year, desperately writing into that black hole that had developed under those opposite in their wasted decade of decay and division and dysfunction. An inefficient tribunal, outdated IT systems, long Liberal lunches, so the gossip goes, from some of the members who just don't seem to do any work once they were appointed. When they appointed their mates, they turn up, collect their large salaries and don't actually write judgments and do their work. The thing is close to broke, frankly, and this bill and the government's reforms will put it on a financially sustainable footing, and it was stacked to the rafters with Liberal hacks. It undermined that perception that there was no merits-based appointment. The people who were appointed to these jobs were not put there on merit. They were put there because of their mateship with the Liberal Party. Yes, stacked. Because as many as 85 former Liberal members of parliament, failed Liberal candidates, former Liberal staffers and other close Liberal mates were appointed to the tribunal. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 85. Now, a handful of these people may be competent, but how would you know? There was no merit-based selection process. No ads, no job descriptions, no paperwork, no transparency. And they're not bad jobs, Deputy Speaker. They're very secure jobs. More secure than your job or my job, more secure than the jobs of millions of Australians. Members may be appointed for up to 7 years and can also be reappointed. And once appointed, they can only be terminated by the Parliament in response to an address by the Governor-General for misbehaviour or incapacity, or by the Governor-General in the case of extended absences or bankruptcy. I think one of those Liberal MPs did get necked for extended absence. Have to check that. But they're well paid. A full-time Deputy President, one of the Liberal Party mates appointed as a Deputy President, can get $496,000, $560 a year. Full-time Senior Member, Level 1, $391,940, $329,000. Then you fall down the ladder of Liberal mates. They only get $249,000, or full-time member level 2, $221,000, full-time member level 3, $193,000. Of course, it must be just a coincidence. Do you reckon, Deputy Speaker? It must be just a coincidence that the only people the Liberal Party thought were eligible for those 85 positions were their former failed MPs, their former staffers or their mates. The best people for the job were just random Liberal hacks, as it turns out, with no qualifications in many cases. Well, this bill could well be renamed Stop the Stack. To be clear, though, I'll say this very clearly. Being a member of a political party in this country, I believe, is a public good. It's a good thing. Being a member of a political party should not disqualify anyone from being appointed, whatever party they belong to. In fact, I'd expect, if I look across an institution like the AAT, just like other institutions in our country, that we would see members of political parties. That's a good thing. But there should be a merit-based process. That's the point, Deputy Speaker, so that people have confidence that the people sitting in front of them deciding whether they get a disability support pension, whether they get yet another decision about a robo-debt case that might embarrass the former Liberal government, whether they get their veterans' entitlements, whether they get their NDIS claim through, whether their small business gets redress from an unfair decision of a government department, they should feel assured that the person sitting in front of them is qualified to do the job and that they got the job not because they were a failed Liberal MP or a hack, but because actually they went through a process and they were the best person for the job, not because the AAT is a Liberal Party employment service. And I do want to stress, I really do, the importance of trust in institutions. When you look across the democratic world, and we're not exempt, when you see the firestorm, about to say a word that started with S and ended with show, but we'll say the firestorm that is social media these days, with disinformation and misinformation aplenty, right-wing and left-wing populism, whether Pauline Hanson's One Nation or the Greens political party, two sides of the same coin they are, or the decade of Liberal government decay, dysfunction, division, the scandal that is robo-debt. The Royal Commission revealed nearly 500,000 Australians were served with fake debt notices with a Commonwealth logo on it and the power of government compelling them to pay for money they didn't owe. The AAT belled the cat, few of them, but they buried that. Or their rorts, sports rorts, car park rorts. In response to that, they cut the Auditor-General's budget. We won't forget that. They tried to abolish the Independent National Security Legislation Monitor that reviews national security laws. They tried to abolish the Australian Information Commissioner. They refused to establish a National Anti-Corruption Commission. The former Prime Minister, we can say it now, Scott Morrison, because he's gone, he appointed himself in secret to multiple ministries. And they stacked the AAT. The greed and the self-interest of the Liberal Party knows no bounds. And so it is important, after that decade, that we do what we can to restore trust in government and integrity and accountability. This government is implementing the recommendations of the Robo-Debt Royal Commission. This government and this parliament established the National Anti-Corruption Commission, which is up and running, properly resourced, undertaking the investigations right now, Deputy Speaker. This government has followed what we said we'd do. There's been more than 100 appointments made to the AAT, which now I'm glad they're sitting down. They were merit-based appointments. We put job descriptions and we put ads in the paper and people applied for them and advice was given, and the people that we've appointed to the AAT are there on merit. They're quality appointments. People can be confident in that. And now we have the Federal Administrative Review Tribunal stopping the stack. So the government is committed to restoring trust and confidence in Australia's critical system of administrative review, beginning with the establishment of this body that is user-focused. It will be user-focused, efficient, accessible, independent and fair. And again, this one's not sitting down, but I'm going to say it again. Don't die of shock. It will be a transparent and merit-based process for the appointment of the non-judicial members. The bill will also it will recreate the Administrative Review Council, which Tony Abbott shamefully abolished. Of course, all AAT cases, all matters before the AAT, when the new tribunal's in place, will automatically be transferred across. There will be no break in continuity. Australians won't need to relodge their appeals. But the tribunal's objective will be to restore that public confidence as an independent mechanism of review that's fair and just, that actually gets through things in a timely manner. We'd all have cases in our electorate, Deputy Speaker, of people who've been waiting for months or years for that critical hearing from the AAT. Desperate. In some cases, it's about being reunited with their children or their husband or their wife, who they've been separated from because of a bad visa decision for literally years. People who deserve the DSP, who meet the criteria for the DSP but may not have provided the right information or might have had an unfair decision, they shouldn't be waiting months or years to get the help that they need. And so properly resourcing and setting up a modern, efficient tribunal and review system is really important. There will be as little formality and as expense as is consistent with reaching the correct or preferable decision. I mean, this is surgical. This really is taking the scissors to the mess which we were left with. It will be accessible and responsive to the diverse needs of parties, and it will promote public trust and confidence in the tribunal. Some of the key features, Deputy Speaker, I'll just touch on to improve merits review include these more simpler and consistent processes. A greater emphasis wherever possible on non-adversarial approaches to resolving disputes through the new federal ART. You don't want, as much as humanly possible, you don't want the sort of battle of QCs and battle of lawyers through administrative review. The courts are still there. People can seek redress through the courts following this, but the whole point of administrative review is that there's an independent check on the power of government and the misuse of that power that citizens can access in a timely and cost-efficient and effective way, and that they feel it's fair. that you resolve most stuff quickly and cheaply and efficiently without having to seek recourse to lawyers and the court process. Simple membership structure with clear qualification requirements and, again, role descriptions. That's right, job descriptions. We write the job description and you put it in the newspaper or online and people apply and then you pick the best people for the job. Clear and delineated roles and responsibilities for those who hold leadership positions in the tribunal, including the President and the Principal Registrar. I mean, we could have put in there as well, abolish the Liberal Party long lunches. Because if you look at the productivity of some of these stooges who they've appointed, who are not qualified, seems to be the last land of the long lunch, the last land of the Liberal Party long lunch at the AAT. That'll be gone. It is disappointing, isn't it, though, when you think about all the benefit that can come from the new Federal Administrative Review Tribunal, when you think about the benefit that the Greens political party's done a dodgy little deal yet again with the Liberal Party to stall this reform in the Senate. Absolutely shameful the way they were mucking around with the committee process and taking their time. So, in conclusion, I really commend the Attorney-General on the precise work that he's done, surgical work in this bill. It'll improve the lives of tens of thousands of Australians when they can again, finally, seek quick, efficient, fair, effective redress for government decisions with which they don't agree. That's a really important part of our public administration system in Australia. You don't just cop the decision from government when it's unfair or wrong. It's not like dealing with a toddler. The citizens are not toddlers. It's not because I said so, you're going to bed now. If you get a decision, you're entitled to reasons for that decision and a fair process of review, and that's exactly what this bill will do. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.